Microphone check 212. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to It's the Bearded Man podcast with your favorite, the world's favorite bearded man, Bobby. We in the building as we always are. Why I intro with microphone check 212 and why do I always come into these solo pods as in we're in the building as if you guys and gals are in the same building? I have no idea. I just fire up the mic, I start rambling, I start talking, and I just see where this thing takes me. It's Monday, October 12th at the recording of this podcast. This will come out on Thursday, but at this moment in time it's October 12th, and man, is it a great October 12th. You know why? Because I just came off a freaking great weekend. Great weekend. But before that, hold on. October 12th? What? It was literally just August. It's literally just July. It was literally 3 months ago when I said, yo, enough sitting around on your ass wishing you had a podcast again. Why don't you just get out there and do it? And we've consistently put out 2 episodes per week since. We're just crushing it, punching that bag over and over and over. But it feels good. Coming off an incredible weekend. A lot of great things happened for the Bearded Man. If you've been following along continuously, especially with these solo pods over the last couple of months, I've been really putting a lot of time into building community and trying new things, new experiences. And man, oh man, does it take a lot of time and energy, but it's paying off. Slowly but surely, I'm starting to throw myself out there. I'm starting to make the Bearded Man known. Not because I think I'm some hot shot, but because I like people. That's why I do these podcasts. That's why I interview guests. I love people. I love being around good energy and good environments. And I've been putting myself into these environments. This past Saturday, went on a 5-mile run with the Grand Running Club here in LA. Joined that a few weeks ago. Have been loving it. Have been crushing them miles every Saturday morning out of Santa Monica. That has been fantastic. Thank you for asking. That afternoon, went to a beach volleyball group that plays beach volleyball in Venice every Saturday. You know what I'm saying? B.O.B. out there taking names, holding it down on the court. Wasn't great. Didn't do fantastic, but I had a great team, so they helped carry the weight. Definitely hit a couple good volleys, you know what I'm saying? Made sure that it was known that the Bearded Man was there to play. But just overall great. I mean, October, summer, weather. What? This is why I live in LA. This is why I love living here. And then Sunday morning, I hit my first HIIT class. And you're asking, what the hell is a HIIT class? High intensity training. Or no, excuse me. Dial back. See, it's the first time for me. That's why I don't even freaking know. HIIT. High interval intense training, I think. Or high intensity interval training. That's it. The last one. Got invited by my boy Raph, who's also from the 413. Met him out here a few weeks ago. But hit this high intensity interval training on Sunday, this past Sunday, and it was incredible. Your boy got his ass whooped. I was shaking after I finished this workout. My body was numb, but it was absolutely incredible. Caught a couple tan rays while I was out there too, you know what I'm saying? After the first workout, took off the tee, said, Bearded Man's here to get sweaty. Let's get into this. And it was incredible. And then to wrap up, already a great weekend, did a fantastic podcast with Callie Rockowitz. She's at Callie Rock on Instagram if you want to get a little tease of what we got coming on to the podcast in a few weeks. Incredible artist, incredible story. I'm not going to get into the deets. I'm just going to have you guys and gals wait. But it feels good because I've been building a buffer into the podcast for guests. And I'm about a month out, which is incredible. I never had that feeling with the old podcast, Purpose in the Youth. I was always producing, releasing. Most of the time I was 1 to 2 weeks out in advance. So that was a lot of anxiety. My God, do I not miss that. But yeah, we're like 4 weeks out with podcasts, which gives me a lot of buffer and gives me time to, enjoy my life and not feel the pressure. So everything's been going great. Everything's been really fantastic. What else? Today, of course, it's Monday. We dropped a podcast with my man Ryan Westberg. An incredible episode. That would be episode 34. If you scroll back one episode, you'll see Ryan Westberg. So somebody I podcasted with in 2018, and not only am I in a different place in my life from the last time that we podcasted, but he is as well. He's a co-founder of a company called Serengeti. He was with them for 7 years. And after some time of thinking about making a change, he left that company to start another venture called Fan of a Fan, which essentially helps creators build brands and not merch, which has been a huge, if you pay attention to the social space, you know how these creators that you follow end up launching dial back. They release brands, and Ryan helps them do that alongside an incredible team. So just a really authentic, genuine conversation with a beautiful bearded man. I would highly suggest checking that podcast out. I would highly suggest. I posted on Instagram, 10 out of 10 would recommend to a friend, and I'm recommending it to you. So you need to go check out that podcast right now. All right. The gig's up. As you're clicking into this podcast episode, as the title being 75 Days of No Booze, it has come to an end. And you may be disappointed in me because I didn't hit the 100 days. And I'm going to be honest with you guys and gals. Last week on the solo pod, I came in and I told you guys and gals straight up. I didn't try hiding it. I told the people, the BMC, the Bearded Man community, that I slipped up intentionally. And I allowed myself to have a great weekend while I had some family in town down in Newport Beach. And I sent it. And it was incredible. Absolutely no regrets. I told myself, coming off that weekend, we'll count this as a pass and we'll get into it. We'll get back to where we left off. But you know what? I didn't feel right. I didn't feel right because when I did the 100 Days of Sweat challenge, I gave myself the every other day rule where I can miss one day, but I couldn't miss back-to-back days of working out. I allowed myself to have a pass, but not a full weekend pass. And so I would rather stand and finish off at 75 days strong of consistent no booze in my system than try to run with, I did 100 days of no booze except for 103 days, or I did 100 days of no booze within 103 days. It doesn't flow. I'd rather stick with 75 days straight of no booze. No hiccups, no exceptions, no glass of wine, no little shot of tequila. Nothing touched my lips. I hold myself accountable, and I would not try to say that I did that streak and slip up on the side. No, not my watch. What? Excuse me? What'd you say, Bob? Let me repeat myself. I am as authentic as it gets. It's the beard in me. It's the East Coast in me. It's realness. I'm not going to try to cookie cut my way through this. I'm going to always be real with y'all. So 75 days of no booze. We're going to dive into it today. So how did this challenge start? I know you're asking, so I'm going to tell you. I'm so fucking corny. Okay, so long story short, I got this idea to do the 100 Days of Sweat challenge that's inspired by Yes Theory back in March, right when COVID hits. I'm like, I got to do this 100 Days of Challenge of sweat that they've done multiple times. No better time to do it than now. I don't have a gym to go to. We're stuck in quarantine. This is going to keep me occupied. So I do 100 days of consistent sweat with the exception of missing every other day if I needed to for a specific reason. But ultimately, I got through it. And so when I was wrapping up with that challenge, I was flying back from Massachusetts and I think I flew back July 19th. And on this flight back, I'm not going to lie, I was a bit hungover. I was for sure hungover. It was a nice little bender back with the fam on the East Coast. It's like when I go back east, it's literally just a party because you're catching up with everybody. You've seen everybody you haven't seen in a while. And I literally feel like I need another vacation when I get back because my body is shot, my liver is shot, my mind is running a million miles an hour. And I did this the last time I came back from Massachusetts, I think. Came back in July, and then, wow. Now that I think about it, I didn't go home. I hadn't been home since October. Man, that's a long time. So I hadn't been home since October of 2019 or September of 2019. And anywho, and I came back and I did Sober October with Joe Rogan. So flying back, I tell myself I'm going on a little break. My body needs it. I'm going to finish the 100 days of sweat strong with no booze in my system and maybe take a week or two off. That 1 week turns into two turns into three. Now I'm surpassing the longest streak that I ever did, which was 31 days in October. Now I'm at 4 weeks, and I'm just like, all right, screw it. I'm going for the 100. You just finished 100 days of sweat. Why not segue into 100 days of no booze? And I really had it. I really went strong. I felt good. I felt fantastic, which we'll dive into. But then, like I said, got into the 70s range, and I knew my cousin was coming into town. I was like, I'll be fine. I'm not going to cave in. And then a lot of things, the timing was like, okay, I'm not making up excuses. Just speaking the reality I own by the actions that I made. I was not peer pressured into any of this. I made the decision, and I felt comfortable with doing so. A lot of things are stacking up. One, took off a PTO day, which is pay time off. Took off a Friday. I got down there on a Thursday night. Lasted the first 24 hours, no booze. That Friday, I do a FaceTime with my parents. My mom asked me, how long are you going to go this week? How are you going to live this weekend without drinking and having a good time with your cousin? And she meant that. Great, Mom. I know you're not there to promote drinking, so I don't want anybody to get this messed up. But she was jokingly like, how are you going to last a whole weekend with your cousin and not have a beverage? I said, I don't know. And so she gave me the thumbs up. She said, go have fun. Live your life. Enjoy yourself. You're in Newport Beach. Have a good time. I said, you know what, Mom, you're right. Then I had a call with the Liquid IV team, and it was pretty much announcing that the Unilever, us being acquired by Unilever, was finalized that day, and that we were having a holiday on Monday because we now follow Unilever holidays. So I said, great. That just means I have a 4-day weekend instead of just having a 3-day weekend. Awesome. And then I started thinking about like, wow, my cousin's in town from Boston. You know, when's the next time he's going to be out here? Probably a long time. All right, screw it. Ordered a 20-ounce margarita, sent it, didn't look back. And I enjoyed my entire weekend. Had some adult beverages, went on a little boat, had a little brunch, a little mimosa. I really enjoyed myself. And I told myself coming off that weekend that I would go back into the challenge. And then when I thought about it, I just was like, I don't feel comfortable going back into the challenge because I just completely just screwed up the entire concept, which was 100 days straight of no booze. So for the fourth time, as I know you already know because I've said it so many times, as a reminder, 75 days straight of no booze. That's right. Clap it up. You did it, Bearded Man. You did 75 strong. We're all proud of you. I want to dive into some of the benefits that I saw within that 75 days because 75 days is a long time. It's practically pretty close to 2.5 months, almost, call it 2.5 months. It's a long time, especially, with it being the summer months. That's when everyone's outdoors. A little rosé gets mixed in the mix. It was an interesting time to kind of say, I'm not touching the booze. But these are some of the benefits that I saw within that 75 days. Number one, extremely productive. Extremely productive. Okay. Through quarantine, I've had a great grip on my work with Liquid IV. That is my number one priority. That comes before my content because they're paying me. It is my career. I'm not going to be stupid and not put the time and energy that is needed to hit my targets and to do my job to the best of my ability. So during COVID, I've prioritized and I've been able to make sure that is my number one priority. And so that hasn't been a problem. But when I started thinking about getting back into this podcast, and it was really on that flight back home in July, I started having I started visualizing like what this podcast could become. I had launched the pod in January of this year, but I pretty much averaged one episode a month for the first 6 or 7 months. It wasn't really a podcast project. It was kind of like a little side hobby that when I had an idea, I just went and created it. And it was me really just trying to stay in the podcast space without completely leaving it, but also having no idea what I was doing or what I was trying to create. So I had this epiphany kind of before I left to the East Coast. I put out, I think it was episode 11. It's called Think Less, Do More. And it was perfect timing because I got on the flight and I started having all these ideas about what I was going to create and what I wanted this podcast to become. And so I told myself, when I do come back to LA, I'm going full throttle and I'm making this shit happen. I'm not going to think about it no more. I'm not going to overthink my steps. I'm just going to do this shit. Think less, do more. That was my motto coming back. And so it was kind of great timing on that flight back, thinking like, I want to get back into podcasting. I'm thinking about stepping away from booze for a little bit of time. I should probably do that because for what I'm about to do, it's going to take a lot of time and energy. And so I think it was really crucial for me to just completely step away from the booze because it was allowing me to really be productive and utilize those 7 days of the week. You know, Monday nights I record these podcasts after I'm done with work for the day, and then the guest pods are usually, I try to schedule it every Sunday. Sometimes it happens during the week after I'm done with Liquid IV for the day, but I kind of have had to figure that schedule out. And, you know, I go from a place where the old podcast I used to host, Purpose in the Youth, I would start those podcasts at like 11 a.m. noon every day. And then I was shifting it to like 7 p.m., which is the end of my day. So I'm like, now if I'm doing them, when I'm doing these solo pods, it's not so bad. But when I have guests coming in, I'm banging out push-ups. Sometimes I'm drinking a little bit of coffee at 5 p.m. just to get me through it because I'm just gassed out by the end of the day. But I love podcasting and I believe in this vision. I want to continue to share my voice. So I do what I need to do to make it happen. But the no booze, which really hasn't been a problem in my life for the last couple of years, I've definitely drifted away from it versus where I was in college, which still was, it was just like I was around college. I was around it all the time. But because I was so focused on what I wanted this to become, no booze meant no hangover, which meant I had a lot more time to do more shit, which was getting back into this podcasting. And not only was I coming back wanting to get back into the podcast game, but I was really passionate about pushing myself to try new things in LA and to meet new people. And so I knew I'm about to be clocked in from Monday to Sunday, like busy every single day of the week and making use of all the time that I have. So that was the blessing of deciding I need to step away from the booze because I need to continue to focus on my career with Liquid IV. I want to get this podcast jump started again. And I also want to start meeting new people and building community. And at the time, too, when I was starting to think about getting back into the podcast game, I didn't realize I was signing up, or what I was about to really visualize was 2 podcast episodes a week, one with a guest, one solo. And once I started to really like make that happen, I said, damn, baby, you're going to have to buckle up. You're going to have a lot of work to do in these coming weeks, coming months. So stick clear to the vision. So the number one benefit I saw within that 75 days was just being extremely productive. Number 2, clear a headspace. So key in a lot of different ways. Alcohol can sometimes bring like brain fog the next morning or even the next full day. If you have drank excessive amounts of alcohol at some point in your life, you know that feeling the next day where I'm not talking about when you wake up and you're still hammered and you're like, whoa, that was great, keep it going. I'm not talking that. I'm talking about the days where it's not really a regret, but you wake up and you just feel foggy, you feel unmotivated, you're kind of like in a daze throughout the entire day. That can clearly throw off the entire next day, which means it's just a loss of time. And also it can be an emotional roller coaster with booze. I think we've all probably had that, or you maybe have experienced that before, where it can be really high highs and then really low lows. And, you know, if you're using booze as a medication to take your mind off of things, that can get really ugly the next day, which can really cause some bigger issues, which we won't dive into today. But it can be an emotional roller coaster. So it's like, not only can you wake up the next day and have that brain fog, but you could just feel like depleted of energy, which means that you don't want to, in my case, in my example, go record a podcast or, you know, go to that HIIT workout class on a Sunday at 10 a.m. in the morning. I wouldn't be able to go to those classes and meet all these new people and try this new experience if I was hungover as shit and didn't feel good. I would be there throwing up and it just would be disgusting. So I just not only kind of going on to productivity, I think this goes very hand in hand with having a clear headspace. I also have just been in complete control of my thoughts and not having like those drunk thoughts kick in. And what I mean by that is that I'm consciously aware of what I'm thinking about and what I'm telling myself. And that's just so important. Like, I think I've talked about this before in podcasts, like being your biggest hype man, or just telling yourself like you got what it takes, and constantly using positive affirmations to remind yourself you're headed on the right path, or whatever it might be. But when you pull away alcohol, for this example, for today's podcast, you're in control of your thoughts. If you've ever had booze before, your mind gets a little giggity. You feel a little bit more happy, a little bit more positive, a little bit more confidence. That's all fun and games, don't get me wrong, but I've gotten myself to really be confident in not only in my thoughts, but actually in my thoughts. Excuse me, hold on. My phone just vibrated, so that's why I'm just making sure this is on vibrate. Do not disturb mode. Hey, iPhone, don't disturb me when I'm cooking up this content, baby. Okay, so what I was saying, control thoughts, not allowing the drunkenness to fall in and flow in. Now I'm in control of what I'm thinking about and what I'm putting my mind and energy onto. Cool. Number 3, third benefit that I saw within that 75 days. Confidence on FLEEK. Confidence on another level, baby. Another level. And for those asking, definition of FLEEK, I Googled it. Extremely good, attractive, or stylish. I would say that's how my confidence has felt the past 75 days. Extremely good, attractive, and stylish. When you're out there trying to meet new people, you're trying new experiences, it takes confidence, okay? When I went to that first running club, I went there not knowing who was showing up. I had hit up a friend of mine that was part of that club, but he said he was not going that day. I said, screw it, I'm still showing up. When I went to the volleyball group that plays there every Saturday, I know of people that are associated with that group, but I would be showing up on days I have no idea if any of those people are actually showing up. So just walking up to a group of people and just trying to make friends. When I went to that HIIT workout class on Sunday, I had one friend that told me he was going, felt good. I knew I was going to have somebody there. But other than that, I didn't know who was going to be there. And so when I got there, I see all these strangers and I introduce myself. I say, oh, is this the HIIT workout? Cool. My name is Bobby. Brrr. Go into the whole cell. We out here. The bearded man's here. Let's go. They were calling me Boston Bobby because I was wearing a Boston t-shirt. How original. But I loved it. So I'm not hating. I loved it. You know what I'm saying? They're like, Boston Bobby. I'm like, yeah, you see it, baby? We out here. Let's get it. But it takes confidence to be in those environments and to go approach yourself. So not having the booze, obviously the clear headspace kind of pulls into this as well, but my confidence has just been on another level. And sometimes we hear liquor confidence. No. Don't need it. If anything, I've learned you do not need that shit. Sober confidence is tight and it's free. How incredible is that? Especially when you're out in environments where there's alcohol being involved and you're the one that's not drinking. You're so much aware of what your surroundings are like that you're taking note of all these actions and things that people are saying. If you've drank alcohol before, you remember those times when you've probably been out drunk, you meet somebody else that's drunk. It's all this positive energy, feel good vibes. You dap each other up. Cool. You exchange phone numbers. And then sometimes you never hit each other up because you're like, damn, we were so drunk. Like we became best friends, yet there's never a follow-up. So being in those environments, being so much more confident in myself, seeing like people get to, those extreme levels of just too much booze, and then kind of like you feel the energy. You can feel them just being all over the place. So I think it's been really helpful because when I'm in these environments and I'm meeting new people, I've been in those environments sometimes where I think the liquor confidence is helping me, but it's actually not. It's not. And it's not because, hold on, that sounded weird. The liquor confidence, I don't think ever actually helps, but we think it's supposed to help. But for me personally, being in those new environments with new people and being in control of my thoughts, my words, my actions, I feel like I'm operating at my highest peak because I'm in control of what I'm saying. Great example is I read a book during quarantine by 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson. I forget the name of the book. Get Rich, probably something. It's gold cover. It was really interesting for me because when I was reading it, I didn't really know this about 50 Cent, which is he never really drank. He has never really drank. And so when he was out at club appearances, when he was really hot as an artist, he's more of a businessman now than anything and a show producer. But when he was hot in his prime time, he wouldn't drink. And what he would do is he would have people might find old pictures of him with bottle service and drinking out of the bottle. He talks about in the book how he would have his security go dump out the champagne, fill it up with Sprite, and he would sip on that all night. And he talked about how beneficial it was for him to be in these environments and be on his toes and really know what's happening. And being sober, being 100% sober while everyone around him is acting up, making dumb decisions. He was able to execute on probably other opportunities. He doesn't go into detail about what those opportunities were like, but he was able to operate on another level in those environments, controlling his thoughts, controlling his actions, seeing if something was kind of like off and probably getting out of there before it got really nasty. Because when you're drinking, you're in the moment. You feel so good, and you're not. Anything could slip up, and because you have this liquid in you that changes your thoughts and your actions and your emotions, and you lose, you lose what? Your ability to move. I don't want to say you lose your ability to move, but it's why you can't drink and drive, because your mobility, your visualization of what you see is not accurate. And he talked about how it was so crucial and important for him to be in those environments and not have booze in him and being able to, assess the situations in real time without anything screwing up his mind or what he was seeing. So overall, confidence has been on fleek, was through that 75 days, and will continue to be on fleek, of course. But I think that was a huge benefit that I saw, was just being in those environments with new people, introducing myself, and really pushing myself to step outside of my comfort zone. I'm already a people's person. I love people. I mean, I've been podcasting for 4+ years, diving into people's stories, but it's different when you meet somebody one-on-one and you have a podcast compared to showing up for a class and there's all new faces. I can handle the one-on-one. It's just me and you. I got this. But when I'm throwing myself out there to all these different people, I'm like trying to survey the land and not spend all my time and energy getting to know one person. I'm like trying to get to know as many people as possible, or at least, shake hands and say, hey, what's up? My name is Bobby. I'm the bearded man. How you doing? What's up? Just trying to, throw myself out there. Number 4, fourth benefit of what I saw within 75 days, better health, right? I mean, it probably seems pretty damn obvious, but better health overall. Couple things. One, wasn't getting the drunk munchies and eating bad food. If you've consumed a lot of alcohol one night, you've probably been there and done that, where you slip up, you go, screw it. Stop at 7-Eleven, get some pizza, get a couple bags of chips, maybe some Oreos. Hey, maybe even a pint of Ben & Jerry's if you're really feeling some type of way. You make a lot of bad food decisions because in the moment, you do not care. Burgers, take 10. You want to go through Wendy's? Awesome. Let's hit Taco Bell on the way back. You make bad decisions because you just, all your discipline out the window when you got the booze in you. So overall, I got a lot. I want to say a lot better because I've already in the last couple of years really paid attention to dieting and like what I'm consuming daily. But I got real strict on what I was eating, and that was really important, which just helped me make healthier food decisions, I guess. Or not, I guess, I know. Physically, though, did I see a difference? No. Kinda. Sorta. I don't know. Still got no six-pack. Still hibernating. Hoping it comes out in 2021. Been waiting since 2015. I'm here to give you an update. It hasn't popped out. I also think it's because I'm still getting to know my body. And I'm realizing carbs, probably should cut back on them. Maybe the six pack will pop up. Or maybe you just got to, put in extra OT, BOB. So we're working on that. What I like to call a WIP, work in progress, as always. So the body itself, I don't think I noticed, and I should have took progress pics along the 75 days to see it, but I didn't. And now, thinking back, should have done that, Bob. So I don't think physically there was the biggest difference in the world. I would just say mentally, going back to the clear headspace, no question about it. Just so much more in control of my thoughts. So overall, better health because I was not caving into drunk munchies and I wasn't going off the rails, eating Doritos, late at night when I shouldn't be eating, and I shouldn't be eating that type of food. So I was making better food decisions. Overall, I've stayed active. I've tried to put a lot of time and energy into the active part of my lifestyle, working out daily, at least 5 to 6 days a week. Recently it's been kind of 7, and just switching up the workout every day so it doesn't feel like the same, which has been good. And also making sure you get in those, rest days. I'm definitely a big promoter. Take your rest. I went to bed at 8:15 last night, woke up at 5:45. So believe me, your boy's getting his sleep. Highly recommend. Get as much sleep as your body needs you to, because that's just, there's no way to operate at a high level if your body is, depleted of energy. But overall, just felt better health, much better health within that 75 days. Fifth and final benefit, this is really important, was more money in my pocket, baby. More money. Booze ain't cheap. I think one thing most people are seeing during quarantine is you're not allowed to go to the bars and you're not going out to dinner as much. So you've probably saved up a lot of money from not drinking out. You want to balance eating at restaurants, because I think that money stacks up to a lot over time. But the booze usually costs more than what you spend on the meal almost every single time. So I think cutting out booze for that 75 days, saved myself a lot of money. Because I wasn't boozing, and because LA has kind of lightened up a little bit, I'm still going out in these safe environments where, social distancing, and there's space and it's outdoors, all that good jazz. Because I'm not drinking and I'm still going out, I'm not paying for Ubers to and from, which can easily skyrocket in a night. I mean, in LA alone, it's casual to go 15 miles to go to somebody's house for the night and then 15 miles back. That adds up. That could easily be $25 each way. Call it $50 for that night. On top of, even if you're going to a house party and you pick up a bottle, maybe a glass, or maybe a bottle of wine, call it another $25. Okay, so look at $75 a night. What if you do go out to a restaurant? What if you do go out to a restaurant and have drinks all night? Okay, so that's a $100 bill plus the Uber, $150. Maybe you did a pregame, that's another $25. You're talking $175 per night. So if I'm being realistic across that 75 days, I think I'm being very conservative, but I think I saved myself at least $1,000, and I would probably argue more. But I'll make it nice and easy. I definitely saved $1,000, which I'll take any day of the week, baby. So I think getting off the booze saved me a lot of money, which was great. Put that towards college loans, put that in the piggy bank, trying to stack that bank account up. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was an extreme benefit. So if I look back on the last 75 days of no booze, 5 of the biggest benefits that I saw would be, number 1, extremely productive. Booze was not taking a priority in my life, so I was able to prioritize myself and focus on the goals that I have within my life, whether it's career, whether it's podcasting, whether it's building community. I was able to put in 7 days a week towards the things that I want to put my time and energy into. Number 2, I had clear headspace. There was no brain fog from alcohol. There was no emotional roller coaster because of the high highs when you're out at night and then the low lows when you wake up in the morning. Clear headspace, fantastic. Number 3, confidence on FLEEK, baby. I was in control of my actions. I was in control of my words. I was in control of everything. Confidence felt so good while meeting people because I was in control of what I was saying and what I was thinking about. And so just confidence on fleek. Let's go. Number 4, better overall health. As I've said, 6-pack still hiding. That didn't come out during the 75 days of no booze. But kind of going back to the physical health, or I should say the clear headspace, that was a mental health thing. Felt a lot better. And I wasn't, caving into the drunk munchies and buying bags of Doritos. No, not on my watch. And the 5th and final benefit that I saw within that 75 days was more money in my pocket. I wasn't out spending money on drinks out at the bar. I wasn't buying bottles for the pregame. I wasn't worrying about Ubers because I was able to drive my ass. I easily saved $1,000, if not more, within that 75 days. So I would like to say that 75 days of no booze was a success for the bearded man. And I challenge, I'll get to that in a little bit. I don't want to challenge you now, but yeah, you know what's coming. Anywho, so it was a complete success, and I'm so happy that I did it. Before I get into changes moving forward, I forgot to do this earlier in the podcast. Bobby, you're supposed to do this right in the beginning so people knew this, but you didn't. I want to remind you guys, gals, if you enjoy this podcast, please screenshot it at any moment in time that this podcast brings value. Post it to your IG story. Tag me at Bob-A, B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y, and share it out with your friends and family and let them know why they need to check out this podcast. Post it to your IG story. Tag me at Bob-A, B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and a Y, and it helps build this podcast organically. That's all I ask for with this podcast. I'm not asking for money, not asking for anything else. Just please, if it provides any ounce of value, share it out for me, and it helps build this podcast. Thank you. Back to the episode. Woo! Okay. So, changes moving forward for myself after coming off a 75 days straight of no booze. Number 1, be much more aware of how much I consume when out. Very easy, and it's hard to do. When you get a couple in you, forget it. The dominoes start rolling, and it's just easy to say, screw it, send it. I can do a couple more. I can do one more shot. I can do one more glass of wine, one more gin and tonic. Boom, boom, boom. 10 deep. Your head's all over the place. Bad decisions. So I'm challenging myself. Be aware of how much I consume when out. Because it's very easy, and I've had this problem with liquids. It's not drinking is a problem for me. I have a problem with liquids. If you hand me a glass of milk, a glass of water with some liquid IV, if you hand me a beer, if you hand me a gin and tonic, if you hand me a milkshake, I drink liquids fast. It's naturally always just been something that I do. You give it to me, I sip, I love liquids, bada boom, it's gone. So that's always been a problem for me. So I think moving forward, what I'm going to try to do is just be aware. Take your time, Bob. Sip it slow. You don't need to drink this fast. Slow and steady wins the race. Wins the race, Bob. Slow and steady wins the race, B.O.B. Take your time. Number 2, changes moving forward. Going off of that would be trying to make it a minimum, maybe when I do go out. Actually, this should all just be one, so I don't know why this is the second thing. It's pretty much part of the first one of what I just said. Making it like a 2 to 3 drink minimum for when I'm out. You could still casually have a drink, enjoy alcoholic beverages. I do enjoy the taste of most alcoholic beverages, but just be very aware, and then even putting a limit of like, I'm only going to have 3 drinks tonight over the course of 3 hours. 1 drink per hour. It's pretty solid, Bob. It's pretty good. And of course, I'm not going to lie, there's always going to be those occasions where I say, crank up the throttle. Let's send it. Let's have a good time with the boys, with the girls, full send, full throttle. It happens, okay? But it's balance. And I think implementing a 2 to 3 drink minimum might be a smart thing to do, especially on those occasions when going out and around all new people. That's when it's really important. The full send comes when you're with family and you're with the homies and you're having a good time and you're around people that they will always be there for you. There's a lot of relationship build. When you're in these environments of new people, that's when you want to be very aware of how much you're consuming, because I'll tell you what, I learned that the hard way. The very first night out, I went out in LA when I first moved to LA in 2017, all the emotions running through my body. So excited to be here. So fired up. It was like a dream come true. I was in LA. We went out to the Roxy in West Hollywood. This is like one of the most well-known LA spots. I've sent it. Luckily, I had my boy Dylan with me. He was able to make sure that I, didn't do anything stupid and help me get home that night. But the next morning, I remember talking to him, and I was like, wait, who was there? Excuse me, who was at the bar? And it was people that I would love to meet. And because I'm a people's person, I will happily go introduce myself. But because I was so hammered and just having a great time and not causing problem with anybody, but just enjoying life and, keeping the vibes way up, I didn't focus on the opportunity to go meet somebody and introduce myself because I was too busy worried about the liquor and drinking more. So that was a really hard lesson to learn right off the rip in LA. And then after that, I got real sharp for the next 2 years straight. So I think that's something that has to be considered when you're going out into these environments. Are you around a bunch of strangers? And I'm speaking to myself. If you want to take this advice and run with it, please do. Bob, are you going out to an environment where you don't really know a lot of people? Yes. Okay. Be very cautious of how much you're drinking because these are all new people. You want to make a good impression. You want to know what the hell you're saying. You don't want to go off you don't want to say anything too stupid because it's possible you could say something stupid. And if you're with the friends, then maybe you loosen up a little bit more and you have an extra couple of drinks because you're around you're around people that you already know. Then the last thing for changes moving forward is just considering the opportunity cost of drinking on any given occasion. The amount of money it's going to cost me this night in the short term might not seem like a big deal, but if I think about it in the long term, that $150 is $150. Don't get me wrong. But I could just, say screw it and send it on $150 a night and then do it for the next weekend and the next weekend. And then, 150 turns into $300 to $600, $900 over the course of, 5 or 6 weeks. That money adds up quick. So thinking about the opportunity cost of the money, but then also thinking about what do I have planned the next day? How is tonight and the decisions I make going to affect my next day? Because I'll tell you right now, if I got a podcast lined up for the next day with a guest, no chance I'm sending it. No. When I got guests coming in, I'm trying to operate at my highest level. I am trying to make this an experience they won't forget. And the last thing that I need is to be hungover as shit, feeling like poop. Not going to happen on my watch. So I think just thinking about what do I have to do the next day? What's on the to-do list for me? If it's completely clear, I might give myself the green light and send it and have a good time. But a lot in the last 3 months since I started the 75 days or within that 75-day time frame, on top of getting back into the podcast game, on top of meeting people, every day of the week I have something going on. And so now I go, not worth it. Go out, maybe have a couple adult beverages, let it be after that. Don't do anything stupid because you're going to regret the next day and you got a bunch of shit to do the next day. So because I joined the run club on Saturdays and because I'm joining this HIIT workout class on Sundays, that sounds like pretty much physical workouts every single day, every day of the week, with probably an occasional break during the week or even the weekend, maybe not going to either of those classes. But I ain't got time to waste, ladies and gentlemen. I ain't got time to waste. Before jumping on this podcast tonight, I posted an Instagram story and I asked what questions and topics people had about 75 days straight with no booze, and I also tweeted it. And I pulled in 2. There was a lot of great questions. If you submitted, thank you so much for submitting. If I don't call out your name, it's probably because you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense. He already answered it in the podcast. So a lot of people were asking great questions that I knew I was going to touch on through the topics today. But there were 2 questions that I definitely wanted to hit on, which I thought were really good. Shout out to my man, Tommy Tette. Great guy. Huge supporter of Bearded Man content. Props to you, Tommy, for always supporting. I rock with you, brother. He said, when surrounding yourself with others, did you ever feel intimidated or pressured? Was it a battle/difficult? Great question. Honestly, it wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be because I was so set on this 75 days and it's just one day at a time. It was honestly not bad. And I think you hurt yourself by not telling people like, yo, I'm actually taking a break from booze. And so I would tell people, yeah, I'm like day 30 of no booze or day 60. And people kind of respected that. And I feel like they were hyped for me because I wasn't the one drinking. And I still it really takes discipline, and you learn a lot about your discipline from being in those environments. So I wasn't shading away from those opportunities to go out and meet people because I wasn't drinking. I've actually been meeting a lot of people that just like have been doing the same. And maybe it's something that happens for a lot of 25 to 32-year-olds where they kind of just like hit a wall and they're sick of boozing because they did it for, probably high school, college years, and they're just like focused on their career now. So they just kind of cut back. But I got a lot of positivity from people that were like, oh, that's dope. Like, good for you. And so it was never really a problem. I can honestly say for that 75 days, never felt pressured, intimidated. There was once in a while, I'd be like, damn, I wish I could have a beverage right now, have a little adult beverage. But most of the time, I was smooth sailing all 75. I felt pretty good. So I think it says a lot about the people around you. If they're the one calling you out, like, just fucking have a beer, dude. Dude, just have a gin and tonic. Like, come on, bro. If they're like that and they're not like supporting you in this challenge, I think it's kind of says a lot about them without intentionally saying a lot about them, if you know what I'm saying. I remember early on in my I think I was like day 10, and I had a homie of mine that I went to high school with chime in, and he was like, I think I had posted, I think it was when I hit 48 days, I think. No, maybe less, 24. I said 24 days straight with no booze, and I think he chimed in and said, damn, I'm 24 hours with no booze. And I was like, all right, that's kind of funny. I know he's trying to be funny, but yeah, just like be aware. If you're trying to do something that's beneficial for yourself and people don't support that around you, I think it says a lot about them. Second and final question that I pulled from the BMC, the Bearded Man community, would be from John Piper. He said, did you replace your drinking habit with something else? That's a great question. And I swapped out drinking when I was out and about at events or spaces where people are consuming alcohol. I swapped in Red Bulls. And I know that's not the healthiest alternative, but that was really because these weekends have been long, full throttle from 7 a.m. till usually like 1 or 2 in the morning. And so by the time I'm going out and meeting, going out to these places at night, I kind of start to hit a crash. And so I swapped in sugar-free Red Bulls, and that became my lifeline, and it helped me just keep the blood flowing, because otherwise I would probably fall asleep standing up, and that's the last thing I wanted to do. I told myself, just because you're not drinking booze doesn't mean you can't go out. So I replaced it with drinking Red Bull. And that wasn't during the week. That was only on the weekends that I would do it. So maybe I would have like 2 Red Bulls a night. Maybe on a Friday and Saturday night, and on that, I even back to now where I am with drinking, I had 3 beers Friday night, and I had 1 beer Saturday night. So I'm following what I set out to do, 2 to 3 beers in those occasions and nothing more. I'm doing it. Let's go. Lost the train of thought. Red Bulls, drinking, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I was about to say, but anywho, John, I swapped in Red Bulls. Oh yeah, what I was going to say is, even when I'm back into the drinking mix, I don't drink booze during the week. I have enough shit I'm trying to do, and that was something I kind of told myself before I did this challenge, was like, stick to the weekends for drinking and keep the weekday business and get your shit done. And so that's been really a good decision that I made, and even really lasted that through quarantine. Just trying to stay away from the booze and not letting it become this outlet for me. So that's it. 75 days straight with no booze. Great 75 days. Learned a lot about myself, saw a lot of benefits, taking some of those lessons and incorporating them moving forward. I challenge any of you that listen to this podcast, try to go 75 days. Okay, I didn't hit the 100. I'll be the first to admit, that was the goal. 100 days of no booze. I didn't hit it. Am I mad? A little disappointed. But when I think about why I let myself down early than hitting the goal, I'm actually proud that I did that. Because like I said, I assessed the situation. My cousin was in town. He's in town from Boston. You know what I'm saying? Boston, a little Boston. And he doesn't come out here often. And it was going to be an incredible weekend. I have no regrets. So I made it 75 days. I challenge any of you to set a time. Can you do 75? Do it. Do you want to go more and hit 100? Please do. DM me and let me know. Yo, Bearded Man, I hit 100. Come at me. I'm gonna clap. I'm gonna send you a clapping emoji. I'm gonna say, good job. You beat me. Maybe go 30. The key with any challenge like this, where you're either adding something into a daily routine or pulling something away from your daily life, is to take it one day at a time. I love the concept of the 100-day challenge because it's 1% per day when you think about it. And I think we can all grow 1% per day within our lives. So challenge any of you that listen, do it 100 days. Well, if you can't do 100, do 75. And if you accept the challenge, then here comes the ask from the Bearded Man. Like I was reminding earlier, please screenshot this episode, post it to your IG story, tag me at Bob-A, B-O, 3 B's, 4 A's, and Y. Tag me and say, challenge accepted. I'm going 75 days with no booze, or say I'm going 30 days with no booze, or 20 days, whatever it might be. Do it. Go for it. And if you're not going for the challenge, then you can still share out the podcast on your IG story. I would love you, and I would greatly appreciate it because it helps this brand, builds the brand to the world. Brick by brick, episode by episode, we are growing this thing. It's going to be worldwide soon enough. It is already worldwide. We're hitting countries all over the world. So shout out to you. If you're outside the USA, shout out to you. And everybody in the USA, shout out to you. Shout out to the people of the world listening to this podcast right now. I love y'all. Don't get me fired up. Thank you for tuning in to It's the Bearded Man podcast. I hope you guys and gals enjoyed it. I really do love enjoying this content, creating this content, and I appreciate if you made it this far for you sticking with me because I can go all over the place with some of these podcasts. So I appreciate your time and I appreciate you supporting. Whatever you're doing today, just do it great. Whether you're just getting started with your day, you're midway through, you're towards the end of it, you're winding down. If you feel great, if you feel happy, if you feel sad, no matter what it is, keep yourself eyes on the prize. Be your biggest hype man and just keep putting in that work. Slow and steady wins the race. You know the drill. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys and gals soon enough. It's the Bearded Man signing off. See ya!